Welcome to the Money is Emotional podcast with Christine Luken, the financial dignity coach. In this podcast, we help you recover a positive and peaceful relationship with your personal finances. We do this by bringing together wise money management with emotional intelligence. Join us for this journey where we navigate our relationship with money as Christine Luken draws from years of experience and guest experts to help you get to the root of your money issues.
Hello, my friend. Welcome to the Money is Emotional podcast. I'm your host, Christine Luken. Today's episode is Financial Coaching Conversations. I am honored to welcome my friend and special guest, Kelsa Dickey, who is the CEO and financial coach behind Fiscal Fitness Phoenix. Say that 5 times fast. And the Financial Coach Academy. Kelsa helps people achieve their money goals through one-on-one coaching and by mentoring other financial coaches on delivering that same transformation for their clients. Kelsa is a fitness enthusiast who loves to train in powerlifting as a hobby and is a mom of 2 and enjoys spending her summers in Michigan. Welcome, Kelsa.
Hi, thanks for having me, Christine. It's good to be here.
I was hoping you'd have like a sleeveless, blouse so you could give us the flex.
Well, I do, but just under my jean jacket. I do actually. And actually, I have to tell you really fast, Christine, I'll show you something. I know people can't see it, but we were actually doing fake tattoos with my kids. You can do the peel and stick tattoo. So on my bicep is actually a fake tattoo. And when I go grocery shopping, I'm a little embarrassed by it because I don't normally have a tattoo right there. But yes.
I love it. I have a tattoo, so I think it's fine.
I have multiple, but this one is not one of them normally.
Oh, that's so funny. Well, Kelsa, you are one of the OGs of financial coaching. I'd love for you to tell us all about your journey that led you to financial coaching and how you came to train others as financial coaches.
Yeah, I would say that most of my life really pointed me toward financial coaching. And I didn't realize it at the time, but I saw my mom struggle with money my entire childhood, despite having a really good job and trying sometimes for hours, sitting there trying to manage her money and still not being able to get ahead. She ended up filing bankruptcy a couple of times, which I know was just really stressful for her. I remember her hugging my aunt one day and crying and saying, like, I had to file bankruptcy. And I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know what that term meant. I just knew it wasn't a positive moment of her life. I then went into practicing financial advising for a few years and realized that the questions and problems that people were having weren't so much about their investment portfolios or asset allocations, but more so just the day-to-day part of their money that was really causing them the stress. And then I went into corporate finance, and that's really where I dove into things like performance coaching, leadership coaching. I had a team of people that I oversaw, 30 accountants. And I loved that part of my job. And then during that part of my life, throughout all of this, I have had my own goals, right, that I was pursuing, whether that was moving across country for my career or starting a family, buying a house, those types of things. And with each one of those, money played a different role at each stage. I used it slightly differently. And it's just like each one of those experiences all got me closer to what ultimately became my passion, which is financial coaching. And financial coaching, as you know, is really just focusing on the day-to-day part of money. And I remember when I first launched and I told people, I want to do this for a living. I want to sit and talk with people about what's coming in and out of their checking account and just help them budget, and people would say, like, you can't make a living just doing that. That's not possible. That's not a thing. And I will say at the time, this was 16 years ago, it really wasn't a thing. Nobody was really doing that. And luckily, I'm a little bit of a rebel. So as soon as someone tells me I can't do something, it immediately makes me want to do it even more. And so I just sort of kept doing, I started purely as a hobby. I would, help coworkers. I'd hear somebody complaining at work about money or something. And I'd say, hey, come over after work. I tend to be pretty good at this kind of stuff. I'll see what I can do to help you. And it really was just so informal, just very nonchalant. And then eventually it got to the point where every day after work and all day on Saturdays, I was just sitting at my dining room table, sort of helping people. And I would work, a 10, 12-hour day in corporate finance and be so stressed out and burnt out and on my way home, a little cranky probably. And I'd get home and then sit and meet with somebody for an hour and help them. And after they left, I just felt invigorated and energized and excited and happy. And I just thought, like, what the hell am I doing all day? Like, this is what I was meant to do. So that's where physical fitness was born. I've always been really athletic. I've always played some sort of sport or been involved in fitness in some capacity. And so that's where the name physical fitness came into play, because to me, they're very connected in the sense that sort of your approach to consistency and just progress with your health, whether you're trying to lose weight or grow muscle or whatever it is, chances are you don't just like walk outside and you miraculously know how to play tennis, right? Like, it takes practice, no matter what your sport is. And the same is true for money. You don't just decide one day I want to be good with my money and the next day you're a millionaire. There's different steps and phases of that. So to me, they're very connected as sort of like our mindset and our behavior that goes into it. And then at that point, I was pretty naive, I will say. And I used to think that I could help everybody, that I would like change the world all by myself, and eventually I got to the point where I sort of realized that I can't do it all by myself, that I can't help everybody, and that I'm actually not even who's best to help everybody, right? Like, I'm really great for some people and other people need either a different communication style or, someone to show up a little differently than I do. And that's when my passion for helping other coaches came from it. And I knew they were probably hearing the same thing that I was hearing, was that you can't do just this. There's no way to have a business and make a living and have this be your passion. And so I wanted to be sort of the voice that said, you absolutely can do this. Let me show you. I'm doing it. You can do it too. And so that's where the Financial Coach Academy brand was born.
Yeah. Well, and your story and my story mirror each other a lot. And in fact, I got my financial coach certification. It was 16 years ago. And I remember when I stumbled across you probably 4 or 5, maybe more, probably 5-ish years ago. And I was looking at the Financial Coach Academy and just how robust it was. And I remember asking you, where were you when I started my business? And you're like, I don't think I had even started my business yet.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
I mean, it was
really
like within a year. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the Financial Coach Academy came because I was like, man, if somebody would have had something like this when I first launched, it would have shortcut all the trial and error, all the experimentation, all of the dead ends that I went down, just trying to figure it out and not knowing and listening to the wrong type of advice. Because I do think financial coaching is a rare profession in a number of ways. First, it is an extremely intimate buying decision for people. So it's not just a transaction like some decisions are to hire somebody. It is very intimate. It's a very close relationship you tend to have. And there's a lot of fears and hesitations and self-doubts and insecurities that people have around money. So to actually show their money to somebody is a really big deal. And I think that that's pretty unique. I will also say too, I think another way that it's unique is it is both right brain and left brain. We have to be very analytical, very detail oriented, very financially savvy, and also creative, and be good at brainstorming and finding solutions to problems that, we just sort of explore and come up with together with the client. And it's very open-ended sometimes. And that is one of the reasons I love it so much, is that I think it is both, marries being analytical and being creative all at the exact same time. But because of that, we have to gather a lot of information from our clients. We need data in order to be strategic and be creative. And so how do you set up a business where you can gather all that information, be strategic, but without reinventing the wheel with every single client that you come to? Because that's also not scalable and sustainable as a business model either. And so really, that's all the stuff that I had to figure out the hard way. You know what I mean? That I try to shortcut for other coaches. I'm sure you can relate to like when you first started.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. Because when I saw the Financial Coach Academy, the training that I did, I think it did a good job of the financial information and the coaching conversations. However, running the business part, especially the marketing, was completely missing. And when I left my accounting job, I used to say, I hate sales. And I used to make fun of my brother because he was a salesman. And I struggled for the first couple of years because I had all these mindset blocks around sales and marketing. And it's like I had to learn all of that the hard way. And it's just like, yeah, you've got to be everything in the
I used to
business.
say the same thing, Christine. I hired so many sales coaches and, invested in sales trainings. And, I think this is actually a really interesting exploration if we can go down this rabbit hole for a second, because I do think it is a very unique perspective on financial coaching, is that our job as financial coaches is to help our clients feel confident in how they make financial decisions, right? Sales training is often taught as an emotional perspective, like how to create an emotional buying decision so that people buy from you. And to me, two things are completely in conflict with one another. That my job in a sales conversation, I believe my perspective is to give the client agency in that decision so that they can make a very confident decision to actually show up as their financial coach in a sales conversation, right? So I want to invite you to work with me. I want to invite you to get my help with your situation and your problem. And also that I can't trigger your, nervous system response like most sales training do. I want to start right away from decision one and helping you to learn how to make those decisions from a really confident, calm place. And all the sales training I took completely violated that perspective.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And it's so funny because now when I have a discovery call with people, I will tell them, I do not want you to make a decision right now.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to sleep on it. I said, I want you to feel really good about this. And in fact, I'm not going to send you the link until tomorrow. And they're like, no, send me the link. I want to do it. And I'm like, I will send it to you first thing tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because I want you to be all in. And I want you to feel like I'm the right person for you. And it's so funny because I've had people say to me, Christine, like, why do you invite other financial coaches onto the Money is Emotional podcast? Like, aren't you in competition with them? And I'm like, absolutely not. There is no freaking way I can help all of the people that need help, and neither can you. And
Totally.
it's so cool, the financial coaching community that you have built, how supportive and collaborative the group is. I mean, I've had several of the financial coaches from the group already on the podcast,
Yeah.
and I trade referrals with them. We have done, different joint webinars and different things together. So, I mean, it's a unique industry for sure.
It really is. And I think as somebody who has sort of been there since the start of it, right? I think I realized very early on that we were at the infancy of a profession, right? And how cool that is, but also sort of the level of responsibility I think we have to establish the profession in a way that works for everybody. And, there are some professions or industries where they're very combative, right? Nobody trusts anybody. They're always in competition. They're trying to steal each other's clients and poach each other's people and all that kind of stuff. And I just felt like those of us who are seen as the experts in the space who have maybe been doing it for a while, it's our job to set a tone where we are all needed. I really, truly do not think in my lifetime we will experience market saturation for financial coaching. It is money is such a pervasive problem, right? Like the statistics show that even high income earners and super earners, which are people who earn more than $250,000 per year in income, the number of people, it's over 50% of each one of those groups that still consider themselves living paycheck to paycheck, right? So it is not an income problem. It is not a broke people problem. It is truly a very pervasive problem. So like we've got, millions of people, tens of millions of people struggling with money. And we've got a handful of financial coaches sort of sitting down and saying, I'm not going to sell you insurance. I'm not going to sell you an investment product. I am just going to get my hands in there and I'm going to figure this out with you. And I think we need a lot more. And I don't think we're going to have, saturation problem during my lifetime.
Yeah, I don't think we will either. Well, what are some criteria that people should be looking for when they're hiring a financial coach? Because this still is a relatively new field. I mean, there's so many of us out there with a diversity of skills, trainings, specialties, etc.
Yeah. So currently there isn't really, one training program or certification that, a financial coach must have. That doesn't exist for our profession. There isn't one that I would say is seen as sort of like the elite one. There is, you think about like the CPA for accountants. We don't have anything like that for financial coaching. Even my own training program, which I stand by and I think is amazing, we have a goal of creating very well-rounded and skilled financial coaches in that training program. There are great financial coaches who existed before the academy, was created. And so even that's not essential. It's not a requirement kind of thing. And so what I want to focus on is less about some sort of credential or certification, but more sort of the skills to look for if you are somebody who's looking for a coach. And number one, I would say a desire to help. So much of what we do is nuanced in that no two people are the same. No two financial situations are the same. There's a lot of real-time problem solving and strategizing that we do as financial coaches. And what makes that step more productive is a desire to solve the problem fully, right? Like whatever, problem the client is facing, I really want to get to the bottom of it, just as badly as they do, right? So I think that desire to help is really important. The second thing I would say is an open mind. And that is because people are multidimensional. There's not going to be one financial approach, method, or strategy that will work for everyone. I would say to avoid a coach that's sort of captive to one way of doing things.
I'm so glad you said that.
I think that's really important. Unfortunately, when it comes to money, for too long now, there has been this mindset that it's simple. It's straightforward. It's just basic math. It's addition and subtraction, that there's one way to do things. And the best way to do anything is whatever way looks best on a spreadsheet. There is no sort of if, ands, or buts about that, right? It's very transactional.
Yes, follow these 7 steps and you will get financial freedom.
Exactly. We just had a client email us a week ago that said, I have tried these 7 steps so many times and I keep failing and they just aren't working for me. And that is, something we hear on a regular basis. Like it's going to work great for some people, but not for everybody, right? There isn't one strategy that will work perfectly for everybody. And so I think hiring a coach who understands that and is open to trying new things or a variety of approaches, because ultimately the goal is that the client is successful, right? And so that client is different than me as the coach. I'm going to do things my way. I also think having an open mind means in their approach to the work as a financial coach. And what I mean by that is personal finance concepts can change from one year to the next. The strategies we use, let's say in regard to real estate, for example, is vastly different this year than it was a few years ago, right? Because of the market changes and interest rates and all that kind of stuff. So I would say avoid any professional who thinks they know it all.
Yeah.
Because none of us know it all, right? Like we all have people that we, call and lean on for advice and for, hey, what's going on right now? What's new? What's happening? What do I need to know? Kind of thing. So I would say, finding somebody who commits to being a student of their craft, always learning, always seeking out new information and relaying that information to their clients is important. And then I would say the third thing that's probably most important for any individual looking for a financial coach is to try to match communication styles. We all have ways that we need things explained to us. Sometimes we can speak in a way that totally resonates with a person, and other times we just keep missing each other, right? Like it's just not resonating or landing. And it's not because either person is wrong or bad. It's just the way that we see the world or explain things is not necessarily the same. So finding someone who can really speak your language, I think is really important to your overall progress. And progress is everything for your financial journey. So I know we try to be, and I think Christine, this is the same for you, that we both try to be a little bit of chameleons, right?
Yeah.
So
what do you need me to be for you?
Yeah. Some clients like a certain level of specificity, right? They love detail. And other clients, if you give them too much detail, it almost like overwhelms their brain and they get bogged down and it actually stifles their ability to be decisive. And so I think our goal is to get to know the client really well and what they need and speak that language to them.
Yeah. No, I love that, especially the ongoing learning. I mean, that's something that's super important to me. And I always tell people, I'm like the financial librarian. I may not know all the answers, but I know where to find all the answers.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. One of the questions I get all the time from brand new financial coaches is like, give me a list of the things I need to know.
Oh.
And it's like, I wish I could. I really do. I wish that was something I could give you. And the goal is to actually demonstrate learning with the client. So it's not to shy away or pretend like you know everything, because again, that is impossible. Things change from one year to the next. But when a client, doesn't know something and you don't know something, show them what it's like to get curious with money. Show them what it's like to sort of ask questions and do some research and that sort of thing. That's a skill you can give them that will serve them the rest of their life versus sort of being the one who knows it all and giving them the answer to everything.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm sure this is the case for me, and I imagine it's the case for you too. My coaching practice and what I do in my coaching practice and how I relate to my clients has evolved quite a bit over the years because of the things I've learned, because of the things that I have gone through personally in my own finances, as a result of the people I've coached and helped them through certain issues. I don't do things the way I used to back then.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I actually have an episode of the Financial Coach Academy podcast coming out soon where I talk about that exact thing, about how allow the client to lead your own growth journey, right? So when they ask questions, I think it's easy to get overwhelmed with there's so much talk of money, right? I mean, there are so many different angles you could take with personal finance, different perspectives and different angles and different topics you could explore. And knowing that alone can make you feel inferior, right? Because all you're experiencing is the gap of what you know now compared to all that you could know. When really, unless a client is asking you about that, it doesn't matter, right? Unless a client needs to know that right now, then you have no gap. And allow them to decide where you go next in your learning journey by letting them ask questions and figuring out what they need.
Dare to enter the Wealthy Woman Book Club, where answers exist to forbidden questions, where women of all ages and income secretly gather, where knowledge is shared, where possibilities are explored, where women claim their power. Dare to stay a spell in the Wealthy Woman Book Club. In this place, we lift each other up. In this place, we start dreaming again. In this place, we see financial miracles. In this place, we grow through the glory and the failure. In this place, we step into a new identity. Dare to champion the Wealthy Woman Book Club. We're creating a future where women are financially empowered across the globe. We're creating a future where our daughters stand on equal financial footing with our sons. We're creating a future where we purchase with our principles rather than price tags. We're creating a future where we use the power of money for the benefit of people and the planet. Welcome to the Wealthy Woman Book Club. Dare to come in, woman. Come in. Join us at wealthywomanbookclub.com.
Yeah. Well, and the one thing I always tell people is that a financial coach is one of the people on your money team. I come alongside. And I do not replace your CPA. I do not replace your financial planner or your banker or your loan officer or your insurance person. We are working together. And there are times, and I'm sure this has probably happened with you, where it's I have to get on a Zoom call with my client and their financial planner or their tax person. So,
Absolutely.
that we can be doing some strategizing. So
yes, exactly.
My next burning question is, are there any trends in the financial coaching space right now that you're concerned about, either on behalf of coaches or people being coached?
Oh, yes, definitely. Let's see. Number one, I would say I probably have two big ones that I'll share. The first one is insurance companies who market themselves as coaching companies. This is purely a marketing ploy. Insurance companies have been around forever. I don't have a thing against insurance companies. So I just want to say that if you're an insurance agent, insurance is needed. Life insurance, health insurance, all those types of things. Very, very needed for sure for a lot of people. There's nothing wrong with that. The issue is sort of trying to get your foot in the door by saying, oh, I do budgeting, when really what you're doing is trying to free up money in order to sell an insurance product. In my opinion, the compensation for a real coach is that they are paid by you, the client, and for the time they spend with you getting results. They aren't paid on commission for offering you products. So, I think one of the best things you could do is ask a coach how they're paid. I honestly, Christine, I don't know about you, but I talk about money all day, every day for a living. So like money is not an awkward conversation for me at all. I know it is for some people, and I'm totally okay with that too. But like for me, it's what I do. So it's not awkward to me. So I really want to encourage people to flat out ask a coach how they are compensated and see what they say. Our job as financial coaches is to make money clear for people, right? Make it more simple and clear for people. So if we can't talk about it plainly and clearly, that is a big red flag to me. So if they're sort of talking in circles around their compensation, or they're not clear and specific with that answer, they're not transparent, or they sort of respond with some word salad on how they get paid or how they get compensated, I do think that's a little bit of a red flag. I mean, I think it's totally fair for an insurance agent to say, I will get a commission when you buy this insurance policy from me. There's nothing wrong with that. Just be honest that that's what it is, So I do think that insurance companies have been around forever. There's nothing wrong with them, but now they're sort of they see this, increase in the profession of financial coaching as a new marketing avenue for them. And I just sort of describe it as like just a new shade of lipstick on the same pig that's been
right
forever. So the second one I would say, and okay, listen, to anybody listening to this, if you don't like what I'm about to say, come for me. Don't come for Christine. Okay. This is my opinion. I don't want anybody I don't want Christine to get any haters. It's actually manifestation coaches. So let me say why. I actually have no issue with the concept of manifestation.
Mm-hmm.
I take issue with the monetization. And what I'm referring to there is this idea that like you get rich by being in someone's energy, or that they can help you sort of amplify your, money vibration, or, that kind of speak. And they're going to charge you $20,000 for a 12-month program. And there's really no strategy being taught, except you get to experience the way they think about money, or the way they make decisions and that sort of thing. That's sort of the, Christine, are you seeing a lot of those? I see them all the time in my feed and stuff. It seems like they're everywhere. Okay.
Yeah, I do.
So, and I think the idea is like, you're going to have more money. You're going to get rich. Like the only thing stopping you from doing that is like your money vibration. And I do think it's important for people to understand their thoughts around money and the way they feel about money, and if they're avoiding money and those types of things. But the issue for me is this idea that where the growth for the client comes from is by being in that person's energy, right? And to me, it's alarming to me, because there's no actual strategy. And I would say that person, the coach, their experiences, their privileges, the opportunities that they have access to are not the same as their clients. We all have different experiences and opportunities that we have presented to us. And I think by saying that, like, you can get rich just by being in my space and seeing how I make decisions is failing to see the nuance of people's lives and the privileges that we sometimes don't share. And to me, I just don't know how you can be a coach if you don't see the nuance in people.
Yeah. Well, and I do think that is certainly dangerous. And, yes, I am a fan of mindset. Yes, absolutely. I do think that we can manifest money, etc. However, there are, the practical side has to be put with the mindset. I am all for putting yourself in spaces with people who are doing better than you, because you can absolutely learn from them. However, there are things that you have to do and you have to change in your life in order to get to that point. And so you're right, there has to be substance behind that. It's not just like, oh, I'm going to pay you to be my best friend, because this is kind of what it sounds like,
Yes.
Like, I'm going to pay Kelsa to be my friend, and because she's rich and she goes to the country club and I tag along to the country club with her, then all of a sudden my bank account is going to grow and I'm going to have the same opportunities. Maybe not.
Yeah. And this is such a nuanced thing that, it's not, I'm not saying all manifestation coaches are bad. It's just definitely seems to be sort of like the newest trend happening, right? And the price tag gets higher and higher and that kind of thing. And I think the part that really rubs me the wrong way is this idea of proximity. And it's not that a client being proximate to the coach is what gets them results and changes their mindset and all that kind of stuff. And miraculously, they become wealthy because of that, right? I believe it misplaces the responsibility, if you ask me. And I think the responsibility is mutually shared between the coach and the client. So when I say proximity, it's like, how close can I get to your problem? How close can I get to your money? How much, like, how deep can I get my hands in there and like really figure out like the moving pieces of it, and how are we going to get you ahead and all that kind of stuff. I mean, well, I'll talk to a client when they first start in their first month, like every few days. And it's like, okay, how much do you have in your checking account today? Okay, the bill you have due is how much did it come in for? Like that type of thing. And I'm very, very close and very hands on to their money. So I'm getting very close to them and their problem. And I sometimes think this message about the client getting close to the coach is misplacing the responsibility or putting too much of the responsibility on the client only. And to me, it's a shared responsibility.
Yeah, no, I love that. And that is an excellent distinction. So what would you say to the person listening who's considering hiring a financial coach, but maybe they're nervous about doing so?
I would say to start the conversation. So, I don't know about you, Christine. I have a feeling just based on what you've already said that it's very similar to this, which is, our approach on my team is to give people the best next step for them to take, and whatever that is. And sometimes that best next step is to work with us. Like we think, yes, this is perfect. This is exactly what we do every day. We got this sort of thing. And sometimes it's not, but our job is to point you in the right direction, either to the right person, the right resource, the right tool, the right training, whatever it is. And the idea is just to give you the next best step. And so to start that conversation, don't shy away from the conversation. It's okay to tell a coach, like, I'm not ready yet. Again, my goal is to give the client the information and to help them feel agency over the decision that they're making, so that they're at least, feeling confident in whatever that decision is. We have clients who we talk to and, they sign up right away. And then we have clients we talk to and it's like 5 years later that they come back and say, I'm ready now. And and they say, because of how we had that conversation the first time, we leave the door open, but really our job is really just to always point them in the right direction too. So the goal, I think, for most financial coaches, at least the people that I know, people like you, Christine, we just want to help people, right? We ultimately want people to use money as a tool to live their best life. And so our job is just to give them the next step in order to do that. And so start the conversation, reach out, don't be shy. It is a very vulnerable step to take. It's a scary step to take. It is the hardest step of the entire process from start to finish. It really is. Of all the changes you'll make with your money, of all the new habits you'll form and all that kind of stuff, the hardest is making that initial reach out to start the conversation. It's by far the hardest. So the sooner you can do that, the better.
Yeah. Well, and the other tip I'd also give someone is to say, if you feel pressured or you feel like the person that you're talking to is making you feel ashamed or bad about your situation, you need to keep looking for your financial
absolutely.
coach.
Be picky. Yeah. And ask questions. So I think some questions that you can ask are, and look for specific answers. So what would it be like to work with you? What can I expect? What results should I be able to point to after working with you or while working with you, right? So what we do, we've got both tangible benefits and intangible benefits. Like, yes, you're going to feel better. You're going to feel more confident. You're going to have less stress. You're going to sleep better, all those types of things. But we should also be able to point to a person's situation and say, this is the financial and tangible results that you should be able to point to after we're done working together, sort of thing. And so you're looking for a person who can speak to those, I would say.
So what advice would you go back and give yourself at the beginning of your financial coaching career?
I'll call myself out a little bit on this one. I would give myself advice to focus on the person a little bit more sooner. So I was more dogmatic when I first started, for sure. I think definitely fell victim to some of the ways that money has been talked about most of my life. I was more focused on the numbers and budgeting and cost cutting and the very typical advice that you see peddled. And I'm sure, Christine, when you were speaking about sort of how your coaching has evolved over the years, I know that this is probably part of it for you too. And the same is true for me. It was working with people that helped me to realize just how multidimensional people are and how awesome that is. And I look back over my journey truly with fondness. But I also think of the people that I could have helped better or maybe faster or made it easier for them to accept different new habits or adapt those things a little bit easier if I could have shortcutted that learning a little bit for myself.
All right. Well, you and I could talk about this forever, and I'm sure we'll probably have you on the podcast again. This is probably only part one. But do you have any parting words of wisdom for our listeners today before we close things out?
Yeah, I would say that you probably hear a lot about the importance of financial literacy. And I do think it's very important. There is a huge difference between financial education and financial coaching. Financial literacy is knowing about money, very important, of course. Financial coaching is about the application of that knowledge. So doing something about what you know. So I always say a financial educator would have the slogan, knowledge is power. And I agree with that. Knowledge is power. But a financial coach would have the motto, applied knowledge is power. And so that's really the difference. If you find yourself sort of learning new stuff all of the time, or if you are working with a financial coach, or if your fear of working with a financial coach is that you're just going to learn more, right? Like you're going to absorb some more information. That's not really what working with a financial coach should be like. You should be doing things. You should be making moves, right? So I just think that that is really important. You should be strategic, putting new habits and systems in place. And it's really important to make sure that you're not consuming so much information that you forget to take action, or that you sort of fail to take action because you're in the consumption mode a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it's really about the integration, because the fact of the matter is most people know what the basics are, right? They know that they shouldn't spend more than they make. They know that they shouldn't have a bunch of debt. They know they should be saving money, but it really is the integration of those habits. So
Yeah, I have a personal trainer and a health coach, and I know a lot about powerlifting at this point and, weight training and that kind of thing. And yet I still have a coach because they help me continuously integrate this part of my life into the rest of my life, right? And the same is true for financial coaching.
yeah, I love that. Well, Kelsa, thank you so much for being here. You are one of a small handful of coaches who I refer to when my client roster is full. I have a high level of respect for you because of your integrity with your clients and the amazing value that you provide to coaches through your Financial Coach Academy. And I know that our producer, Bill, is lurking in the background, and I know he's got something to say.
Well, it's really interesting. I took notes, okay? The phrase money is kept coming up a lot today in this episode. Money is transactional. Money is pervasive. Money is intimate. And of course, as we all know, money is emotional. But one of the phrases that I have learned working with you is the most important phrase is money is manageable. Do something about it. Take the time. You are very good at facilitating these conversations about money, which I admittedly am not.
And that's okay, because you are good at all the technical stuff that I suck at.
No, gosh. That was a great conversation. That was really good. How do people who are listening to this conversation get a hold of you, Christine, and if they want to pursue a further relationship or conversation with you even?
Yeah, the best thing is to hop over to my website, which is my name, christineluken.com. And we have some very exciting news. The doors are now open to the Wealthy Woman Book Club.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are a woman who wants to be wealthy, who is already wealthy, and who wants to share the journey with other women, to increase your financial resources, not just for your own benefit, but for your family's benefit, for your community's benefit, and the benefit of the world. This is really what we're all about in the Wealthy Woman Book Club, and you can find it on the website or wealthywomanbookclub.com.
Excellent. The other thing that you can do, listener, if you're listening and you are not already a subscriber, hit the follow button. That's simple. That way you will be subscribed to the podcast, and whenever Christine drops a new episode, you'll be notified and you can give it a listen. I would also ask that if you find this conversation useful, interesting, informational, tell people about it. Let them know. That would be very helpful. Until next time, I am that guy in the background, producer Bill. And on behalf of Christine, I want to thank you for listening today and remind you that today you could go out and make today a great day. Or not. It is a choice. and it's yours to make. Thanks so much for listening. Until next time.
Thank you for listening to the Money is Emotional podcast. To get in touch, visit our website at www.christineluken.com or drop us a line at hello@christineluken.com. And don't forget to click the follow button to be notified when new episodes become available. The information covered and posted represents the views and opinions of the guest and does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of Christine Luken. The content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional investing or tax advice. Always seek the advice of your advisor, tax professional, or other qualified financial professional with any questions you may have regarding your personal finances.